This time on Ask Rad Rat, we talk about Jake Phelps, we talk about going pro without competing, and we talk about if the Tony Hawk games would have been as popular without Tony Hawk in them. Let's get started. Welcome back to Rad Rat Video, the channel where you can learn something new about skateboarding 3 times a week. Every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we take a look at something in the skateboarding world. We learn tricks, we learn about skateboarding video games, we talk about old pros, and we answer your questions here on this series, Ask Rad Rat. Got a few of them for you today. First one is from Drew in West LA, who asks, is Jake Phelps the most underappreciated guy in the industry? I think appreciation and respect is a very difficult thing to come by in skateboarding, and it's one of the reasons why I started to do my Trick Histories series. So you see a trick like the brand new Merlin twist, that's this all exciting brand new thing. No one realized that it was a 20-year-old trick. I have a video about that right here. And so getting the proper respect to people who actually invented stuff was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this stuff. And Jake Phelps is a really good example of someone who doesn't get as much respect as he might deserve. So you see him, he'll be at a contest, he'll be in King of the Road or something like that, and people will say he's a legend, but you don't really know why. What did he do? What's his history? Where did he come from? What did he contribute to skateboarding? It's not that easy to find. If you look him up on Wikipedia, he doesn't even have a page, just to give you an idea. He's the editor-in-chief of Thrasher, and yet he doesn't have a Wikipedia page. So that kind of says a lot about the amount of respect he gets. And in this current role and all the other stuff he's done in the past, he's been a thought leader in skateboarding. His opinions and his attitudes have helped shape skateboarding culture as the way that it turned out all over the world. And so he definitely deserves a lot of respect, and I don't think a lot of people know about that. So I think that Jake and all of his history, he deserves a more thorough episode, but I do think you're onto something there. The next question is from Josh Foxy, who asks, has becoming pro changed since you don't have to compete to be seen? Can you go pro only releasing parts? Yes, you can, and you've been able to do so since about 1989. But before that, and around that time, you had to place in AM contests to be able to be advanced to the pro series. So Kareem Campbell, I talked about that before, how you had to be at a certain level before, like top 3 before you would be advanced to the pro level, and other people as well. But this started to change when Frankie Hill released video parts in the Powell Peralta videos in the late 80s. They were so amazing, so groundbreaking, that there was no doubt that he was professional level, even though he didn't compete. And so he did get his own pro model. I think it was 89. And so that started to pave the way for people turning pro in other ways. And by now, being pro has pretty much lost its meaning. I found a quote from Andy McDonald from back in 1999, and this is what he said. I learned the hard way. I thought it was all based on skating ability. That's not it at all. It's not how good a skater you are. It's a factor, but it's not as much as you think. And that was interesting because I'm going to do a video about Andy Mac pretty soon, but he had some trouble breaking into the industry because of what people thought about him. Had nothing to do with his skill. So it's not about placing in a contest, being really good, and therefore being pro. There's a lot more to it than that. Especially now, it's pretty easy to turn pro if you don't care how you do it. You could order blanks from a company, have your name printed on them. As soon as you sell one to a kid in the parking lot of the middle school, you're technically a pro. You can make some for your friends and you have your own brand just like that. And so being a pro doesn't have the same level of prestige as it did back when you really had to earn it through competition. So hope that answers your question. Last question is from Johnny McBee, who asks, if there was a different pro used as the name for the Tony Hawk games, would it have been as popular? So I'm going to assume that the game itself turned out pretty much the same. I don't know Tony Hawk's exact level of involvement in the series. We'll have to wait for Pretending I'm a Superman to get full details on that. I know he was kind of a skateboard consultant. He was able to look at the animations and that kind of stuff. But he didn't program anything, obviously. So the game would have turned out pretty much the same, at least let's assume that for now. The thing is, Tony Hawk was such a big name, both in skateboarding and just a household name. People knew him from the X Games. He was the spokesman of skateboarding, just like he is now. And I think that added a lot of legitimacy to the game, both from gamers' perspectives and from skaters' perspectives. But let's say they went generic with it. There were games that were generic, like Street Skater 1 and 2. They both have no-name pros, just generic characters. Thrasher does as well. Of course, none of those games were all that successful, but they didn't have that same winning formula as Tony Hawk. I don't want to say they weren't good. I didn't like Street Skater, but Thrasher was really good. It just didn't have the same mainstream appeal. So I think that the game would have been done pretty well because the reviews would have been amazing. The game still would have scored really, really high in publications. It would have started to take off with gamers. The skateboarding world might have been slightly slower to pick it up if they didn't think it was legitimate, in skateboard culture and all that stuff. But one of the big things that made the Tony Hawk games so memorable and so good at the time was the pro videos you could unlock. Back in the day, if you were new to skateboarding and you didn't have a local skate shop, whatever, you wouldn't easily find a way to watch skateboarding, especially professional skateboarding. So being able to unlock these little video clips and stuff was really cool. If they went generic but found real clips to use, then I think the game would have done okay. But what they probably would have done is just pick someone else to do it. But that was not really a recipe for success. Like the MTV skateboarding game featuring Andy McDonald. I did a review of this one. This game is not all that good. So despite the fact that people knew who Andy Mac was and that he was a really good skater, the game didn't exactly fly off the shelves because it wasn't that good. So as long as the game was good, it would have done better. So Tony Hawk, I think, did a lot to really get the ground, get things moving. He probably helped with funding and stuff. Having his name attached to it made it seem more legitimate for investors and all that kind of stuff. Got more momentum going when it finally hit the shelves, so it would hit the sales charts a little bit quicker and that kind of stuff. He definitely helped, but I think the series still would have done very well without him if they had to. So that's it for now. If you have any more questions for next time, there's 3 ways to ask me. You can either send me a direct message on Instagram or Twitter, links to those below, or you can fill out the Ask Rad Rat form on my website, radratvideo.com. So go there to check that out and everything else I'm up to over there. But until next time, here are some more videos you can check out while you're waiting. And you can also tap my logo on screen right there to subscribe so you can keep learning new things about skateboarding 3 times a week. Thanks for watching.